The ghouls next door. Come into our dungeon.
Yeah.
Or our laboratory.
Scary voice.
It's good. You're doing a good one.
I thought so too.
Hi, welcome, listener.
Hi. Normal voices again. Cool.
Yeah, we won't pull that off for a long time. We are not good at it forever. Welcome to The Ghouls Next Door, a creepy podcast about creepy stuff.
Yeah.
And this is the month of October, so we're talking about our classic horror genre people.
Yeah. The real originals
The OGs.
of horror.
Yeah, and this is our 29th episode, and we're going to be talking about two very important, talented men who are the beloved monster men
Yeah.
of the silver screen.
Mm-hmm. So we got Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff
Yes.
for your ears tonight.
Yeah, these guys. They transformed horror. It was a stepping stone. It was a milestone. Horror wasn't really a thing. And then they showed up. And now we're here.
They did the whole thing. They were just like, yeah, you know, you didn't know things were scary till a minute ago, and now I'm here, so it's scary.
Excellent.
Cool. Yeah, we did a great job talking about it. So
Yeah, so, the reason why I want to talk about Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff is we talk about three writers who attributed, and these two actors happen to play a lot of these characters on screen.
yeah, they got typecasted like anything else, and were basically put in every single scary movie during the time of like I want to say like it was the 30s.
Yep.
Just like the entire 30s.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit into the 40s.
Yeah.
And they were just every spooky thing that existed during that time.
So if you don't know who these two gentlemen are, Bela Lugosi is the original Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 1931 Dracula. That's the one where you hear like, "We want to suck your blood." The accent and the cape and the piercing eyes and the bats that kind of flap weird.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things came from Bela.
Yeah.
He's great. And then Karloff is the original Frankenstein. He was the one that you see with the flat head and the bolts in his neck, and he walks all weird. He
Because his shoes were 13 pounds.
Yes. So, yeah, these are the two men who really pioneered that movement. And so we're here to pay them some tribute.
Yeah. Welcome. Join us.
Won't you?
Please.
I would say, so in college, I took a class and I did a small report on Boris Karloff because of the problems in Hollywood with casting white actors in roles that they shouldn't be, which they still do. So the fact that Karloff donned essentially yellowface to play Dr. Wong or Mr. Wong.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put makeup and like prosthetics on his face to make his eyes look Asian, and then like changed his skin tone, and then he had to talk in an incredibly racist accent, and we couldn't hire just
Actually
a person who can actually play this role.
Yeah.
And that was just during the time, and it spoke for the racism that was happening in California against our Asian immigrants at the time as well. And that's not to say like Karloff is to blame. I think, he played roles that were given to him, and that was one of his more famous ones. And if anything, I mean, Bela also played a Mr. Wong. Not the same one, but happens to be there is a good number of Mr. Wongs happening, played by not Asian people. And so it's kind of an idea to think about, like, the fact that they were both more or less foreigners. Karloff being an English foreigner who had an East Indian heritage, so he's a little tanner. And then Bela, who is Hungarian and had an accent.
Yeah, very thick accent.
So it's wondering, like, why do we take these two foreign and or ethnic actors and cast them as monsters or as cultures that they are not?
Yeah.
It's a whole question.
There's lots of questions around it.
In that time, there's a lot of questions about that
just
time.
like life during that period. That whole like time, you don't want to go back in time joke kind of goes to that. But yeah, I definitely didn't do any of that in school. I didn't really know who they were until I saw the movies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like an educational thing. It was like, oh, that's happening now. More so.
I did go to film school. So.
Yeah, I know. I know. And it makes a lot of sense for you to know this stuff and to like have a class on this. Where like most of my stuff was just like, war, it's bad.
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. All right. But yeah, I like Karloff better as an actor. That's kind of all I got in terms of my personal feelings. But I definitely felt for Bela and his like life situations. I feel like he did kind of, because of like a lot of things, language barrier, etc., like have a harder time. But yeah, I definitely thought like Karloff was a stronger actor.
Absolutely. And we're going to kind of go into quite possibly why Karloff might have been, you know, a better actor or seemed that way, and maybe was more of a crowd favorite, and for several different reasons. And we're going to talk about that. So join us on this journey to the classic horror of the classic horror film world.
Cool. Yeah. I'm on board. So, you know, because I'm here, but also you guys join us.
Yes. For
Please.
the OG monsters.
Woo.
Ready.
Facts. Yeah, facts. We tell you facts. All the facts. Yeah, facts. Still facts. About that spooky stuff. Yeah, spooky stuff.
Welcome back
Yay.
as we talk about facts.
We're still here.
Those spooky facts. So, Kat and I indulge in a lot of films and did some research on these gentlemen. And I will say that some of my primary research came from a lovely podcast that everyone should check out, which is You Must Remember This, which has a 5-part amazing series on Boris and Bela, and will go way more in depth than we will. So if you really have an itch to satisfy with this content, check them out. I just want to start with that.
Yeah.
Give
They are
credit
cool
where
voices.
credit's due. Absolutely. So I want to talk about Karloff specifically. So here's what his deal is.
Tell me.
Karloff is an English actor. And what's interesting with him is that he was born with a stutter and a lisp, and he walked bow-legged. When he grew up, he eventually got rid of the stutter. He learned to conquer that, but the lisp always remained, which kind of, I think, attributed to his acting and like these characters that he could be and how he could portray them kind of worked in his favor. That he's not going to be the suave, like, gentleman that Bela is going to be, because that's not
his
gonna
whole thing was never sex appeal. It was always, I'm ugly. And then I was like, no, you're not, though, dude.
But he's like nice, like he'd be less endearing. Like,
why you gotta be ugly to be
him.
nice?
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts. All right, continue.
So I would say, fun fact, his best known non-horror role is that he was the Grinch, as the narrator in the animated television special of Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so we've all grown up with him, listening to him tell us this story.
That's so fun. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I learned also.
Excellent. Another fun fact. So Karloff is the actor for Frankenstein. He plays Frankenstein's monster, Frankenstein. So if you want to learn more about the creation of Frankenstein, you can check out our Mary Shelley episode.
Yeah.
This is about the film and about the actor, because he did a lot of great stuff. He played in a lot of things often. He was a very versatile actor, but he played a lot of just random side gigs, to the point where, like, when Frankenstein premiered, like a week or so later, or around the same time, another movie premiered that he was also in, where he was just like henchman number 1. So he was simultaneously having a breakthrough while his like lesser known parts were like coming through. he starred in so many movies, or was in so many movies, that Frankenstein happened to be his 81st movie.
Yeah, that's late, especially since that was like his big one.
Yeah, and he was older too, so it was a big deal for him to be an older gentleman and to still somehow find it. But of course, that's, you know, the old age Hollywood. Men can keep on doing, and ladies, you're done. Now you're old. Get out of here.
Sad.
Frankenstein actually wasn't technically considered a horror film because the term horror, like as a genre, was first used in 1934. So it was a few years early.
Yeah.
So it was probably just like a thriller.
Yeah, this is stressful.
Yeah.
This movie makes you feel stressed.
Yeah, it's especially that. So movies like Frankenstein and movies that Karloff and Bela tend to star in, they are usually double features. So you would go and you would get two films, usually like a B-rated horror movie and then theirs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like you just go through some junk and then you maybe get some gold, or you go through their junk and then you get the other person's gold.
Yeah,
kind of deal. Yeah. A fun thing about Frankenstein was that it kind of received the first trigger warning because there was this rumor that when it first aired, that people in the audience got really scared and left. They were like legitimately upset. So there would be a guy who would come out and he'd be like, hey, the director has to tell you guys that he is warning you that the things you're going to see are unsettling. And if you have a weak stomach, you need to leave, essentially.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because, like, also, I mean, I'm sure back then anything that was on the screen was scary. But also, like, it's just goofy. It's like the first Paranormal Activity. But,
yeah.
like, back in the day.
Exactly. Because, like, one of the first films was, like, a train going by. And it was known as the first horror film because everyone ran out because they thought the train was real.
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
People were dumb.
But it was, like, it was new technology. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But, like, the trigger warning was cool in that it warned people so they knew what they were getting into, but it was also cool because it kind of dared people to stay.
Yeah.
It was
I could
like,
see that.
Yeah, it was like, only if you dare remain here and watch the horror that is Frankenstein. And then people would be like, yeah, I could handle that. And even if they were terrified, they were going to do that. And considering like what the propaganda there is for films these days, where they just show trailers of people in the audience freaking out. They don't even have to show you what the film is about.
I hate that too. Where it's like you watch a whole preview for something, you're like, what is this? Why am I going to pay money for that? It didn't tell me what was going to happen.
It's better, I think, than those trailers that tell you everything that happens.
No, that's also
it's like
fair.
Now I've seen the whole film. And I don't have to go.
This did not need to be 2 hours.
You've changed. Yeah, I didn't realize I tuned in to watch an entire movie. So for Frankenstein, Lugosi was also offered the role first for the monster, and reportedly said he didn't want the role because the character didn't speak. But rumor has it that it was because the director and the rest of the team considered Karloff a better actor.
I'd say both were probably factors in some way.
Yeah, because when you think about it, like, Bela's strength is speaking and being like this weird,
he's not
creep
yeah, like he's scary in his like creepiness,
intensity.
Yeah, and not so much in his like horror. Like he's not a brute kind of guy.
Yeah, and I think he plays villains a lot better than he does with someone who's trying to evoke sympathy, which Karloff was really good at. Like you could really sympathize with this monster who didn't want to be here and now is here and like is, you know, just trying to fight to understand what he's doing here. And Karloff can do that without words. And Frankenstein was a crazy film. Like Kat said before, Karloff's shoes in this film were about 11 to 13 pounds each, which that's heavy, and he had to do that all by himself. The flat head that we know and see, it's due to the idea that his like scalp was cut off, and so to kind of show like surgery. And then he was painted green because they knew it would look gray on screen, like as opposed to what like people colors would look. So that's kind of why we get this green Frankenstein, but you know, really he's just supposed to be really
Gray,
pale.
because he's supposed to be pale.
Yeah.
And like dead and stuff.
Yeah. A fun fact again is that the makeup artist for this look, who created this amazing thing with help from Karloff, was Jack Pierce, who was previously a baseball player.
Multi-talented people all around.
He was like, I don't want to do sports. I want to make art on people's faces.
But Dad won't let me dance in the garage.
Yeah. So now I make art on your face. I make monsters, Father. Monsters.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to go in the backyard and you're going to play catch with me. We're bonding.
No, I want to make monsters.
It's the 1900s, son.
Son, child. We'll find you a child bride soon enough.
That's his trend. Karloff did all his stunts in Frankenstein, which took a toll on him in that he would have to throw people. He wore all of these... he wore these heavy shoes. He did just a lot all by himself. And it really, honestly, could take a lot from someone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's heavy. It hurts. Throwing people's probably stressful.
Yeah, and then you do it like take after take after take. Like he did not have a stunt double. It was just him. And he does it without any complaints. Like there's a lot where he should have spoken up and he just didn't because he didn't want to be inconveniencing.
I like him better.
He's a nice man.
Nice guy.
Yeah. And then again, this is like 81st film, but he was still considered such an anonymous actor that he wasn't invited to the premiere of Frankenstein. He was the monster.
That's insane.
he's the whole thing, and he wasn't invited.
That's rude.
Yeah. Between 1938 and 1940, Karloff appeared in 5 films. So those include Mr. Lee, the Chinese detective, or Mr. Wong, the Chinese detective, and then also just a bunch of kind of like weird horror films as well.
Yeah.
And then another fun thing, so they played in both, he and Bela, who we're going to get into, really stole the corner like market of horror films, and they starred in a lot of films that were advertised as being based on Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
So, which was our first episode in this series. And then we have Frankenstein for Mary Shelley. And then another fun thing is that Karloff had starred in a film that was based off of or inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. And it was called Monster of Terror.
So, he really was a part of each person in our classic horror series.
Yeah. It all comes together, guys.
Look at
Full
you
circle.
be.
I found it. I found all the links.
Connect them.
Yes.
Little dots.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about that other guy. Bela Lugosi. Do I say it right?
Bela?
Bela Lugosi?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Well, he was, Dracula. Dracula was one of the first horror films for talkies.
Yeah. So Bela was a great actor for silent film because he was Hungarian, so he had an accent. So for a film like Dracula, it was the first time we had talking. Like, so we're out of the silent era. This is the first horror film during that time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And he had to learn all his lines phonetically.
Oh, that's a cool fun fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, he had a lot of trouble, I think, with the whole accent thing, though, and it kept him away from, I guess, getting the same recognition as Karloff because, he had that accent and language barrier. Yeah, so basically he was quickly typecast as anything Dracula-esque as a villain, and it was basically because they were the same person. Bela was Dracula, and his whole thing was the character, and you can't really go too much past that. Whereas Karloff could actually disguise himself, use prosthetics and makeup, and then he would take them off, and then he'd be him, and he would do other things.
Yeah, he'd put on different prosthetics and different makeup, and now he's a different person.
I'm a different villain. Or a person,
Yeah.
people. But basically, he had a really hard time getting anything that wasn't a horror film, which really hit hard when in the 1930s they basically were like, no, horror films are scary in Britain. We're not doing that no more. But he also served in World War I, which ended up kind of messing him up later because he got sciatica from all his injuries and whatnot, and that made like acting and like doing stuff pretty painful from World War I. But the one we watched is he was in The Raven with Karloff, and was paid less than Karloff despite being the lead actor.
Yep.
So he was very bad at negotiating contracts and like basically sticking up for himself and like kind of honestly like contradicting how I would think he would present himself, because he seemed like a pretty like confident dude.
Yeah, but he was also kind of a mess because considering the sciatica and the injuries from World War I, he developed a addiction to morphine and methadone. So like that totally throws him off. And I really think he might have been able to do a lot more for himself if he was completely in control of his faculties and didn't have to like get shipped off to rehab all the time.
Yeah, so he like wasn't doing too good like physically. But he got hit hard in the 30s before he kind of had his big comeback. Because like horror films were basically like, no, we're not doing that anymore in Britain for a few years. So he would usually lose roles to Karloff, honestly, because Karloff could do other things.
Yep.
And then he would audition and then not get the role because he just got really severely typecasted. But, you know, in a continuing the sad end, there's some fun rumors, I guess, sort of like how Mary Shelley had fun rumors about herself.
Yep.
Well, he died while lying in bed in Los Angeles apartment. He was 73, and the fake rumor, it's not real, is that he was clutching the script of The Final Curtain, which was the movie he was planning to work on with Ed Wood. But I was told it's not true.
Oh.
But it was still like a fun fact.
Another fun napping or sleeping or dying while reading a script is that despite the fact that people say that Bela and Karloff were not friends, during the filming of The Black Cat, there was like a promotional photo that they took where it was essentially Karloff and Bela were both had fallen asleep after reading the script like next to each other. Like they were nap pals.
Yeah.
So that's a fun time thing to say in lieu of the weirdness of his sad, tragic life.
Yeah. And apparently he did have a son. And they buried him wearing his Dracula cape. And it wasn't like said that he wanted that, but the family kind of was just like, we want to honor him, and like in his best role where he was like doing his best and like not as sick and kind of in his prime, that he can like have that even when he's gone.
Yeah. And another fun thing, just because this is the Ghouls Next Door, is that he worked closely with Ed Wood on a lot of things. So there's a film about Ed Wood where you can see some kind of not so positive images of Bela, but in real life, he worked with Ed Wood on several ghoul films.
A Ghoul Goes West.
And The Phantom Ghoul.
It sounds great.
Which, yeah, I want to go Ghouls Go West.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I'm definitely a fan.
We've watched so many movies with them, but I keep wanting to watch more. I just want to get a big projector and just like watch them outside, just like one after the other, just like not double feature, just like infinity features.
That does sound nice. They were just like funny, like all like, and I mean it's because we're watching them now where we are so desensitized.
We're messed up.
Yeah, we basically you could show us the worst thing and we'd be like, all right, well, that was fine. Where like this is just like, oh, look at them do their stuff with the spooky things, running all around, laughing all maniacal, having lights shine in their eyes the whole time. It was cute.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say I really enjoyed learning about them and the kind of drama that goes with them. And we'll get more into it when we talk about the actual films in themselves and kind of like the way things worked. But there was definitely some situations in that Karloff was kind of like the same way that we enjoy him more. The audiences enjoyed him more. Not to say that they didn't enjoy Bela. He actually, when he was doing plays, he was known as this like sexy man. And the idea was that husbands would drop their wives off at the place to be like, okay, women, just get out of the house, go enjoy yourself, do whatever you want. So these are obviously suppressed women. And so they would watch Bela in all his sexy glory, like on stage with that accent and those piercing eyes. And they would write him letters and like tell him all this stuff, like these love letters of just like, you've awakened something in me, and all like, and that's like the wave that he was riding on when he ended up in America. So when he got Dracula, which is just like the sexiest vampire, like he started sexy vampires. You know, like this is why like Interview with a Vampire is a thing. This is why we have like fantasy novels with like sexy like when I remember watching one of the Twilight films because I was a dumb teenager, and my aunt was like, this is really dumb. And she was like, the vampires I know are sexy. Like they were intimidating and dangerous and alluring and, you know, like intense, and
they had like
fierce
knowledge that was secret that you weren't supposed to know.
They were smart, and that was like, that was a part of the attraction, and they just like lure you in and bite your neck seductively. And so then you have like glittery, like
angsty sparkle teenagers.
Vampires. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. And him coming in, he always still had that, and throughout nearly all of like the films that we watched and some of his more famous ones, he's always this handsome, sexy man who,
he was always like wooing the ladies with like the like face caress.
It
was real subtle.
And
he did it every single time. And I mean, honestly, he was a good looking guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. And even Boris Karloff was as well, which is so sad that like he just get put in these gross face like disformities. And
they were like, you're just ugly now. Go
like,
ahead.
We're going to make you a mummy. We're going to make you Frankenstein. We're going to make you this deformed guy where his eye's broken. Like you. And then it's like when you see him normally, you're like, what is this handsome man doing? Who's that?
He's normal.
Yeah. I think
he looks good.
I think Bela really played well with being the charming guy. And then he always was like, it gets really like kind of creepy and like uncomfortable when you're looking at it in today's world of like these young women who are getting swept up by this man, and he's like essentially like manipulating her or like taking her against her will, like literally just like putting her in harm's way. Because he doesn't get what he wants. But at the same time, like during that time, he was still really sexy for being this character. Like he's a villain. He's plainly the villain. He is bad. But you're still like, but, you know, would I be so upset if he kidnapped me?
It's definitely the beginning of the bad boy craze.
He's the OG bad boy.
I just want that angry guy who's misunderstood. I can change him. You can't. He will bite you and you'll die.
He's like... Honestly, I feel like he's the start of like the romance novel man, which is like thinking of Christian Grey of 50 Shades of Grey. There's like a whole trope of romance novels where you have this guy. You don't
want to be with me.
Yeah, you have a guy who's like super
broken.
rich. He's super powerful. He gets stuff that you're not going to get. And then you get this like pathetic, normal, like regular woman who's just like, it's such a gift that he's even paying attention to me, like, of course. And so I feel like that started like there, like I'm sure it existed beforehand, but it's like really strong here in like how overtly he is a villain, and you're still like, well like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd be one of his many
where you want to go
brides sleeping in coffins.
You need me to be undead? All right,
that's fine.
Anything for you.
I think that he does really well. And then Karloff is just really good at being a spooky guy that you feel real bad for. Yeah,
he definitely invoked a lot more sympathy, where I think Bela just like didn't know how to do that as much. He was more the suave, kind of like, I got this kind of guy, where he wouldn't like show that vulnerability, even though he had a lot wrong with him. So maybe he should have.
Yeah.
Like, but then Karloff really had the advantage where he really was able to like pull in sympathy and like emotion in a not like I'm aroused kind of way, but in a oh my god, you.
Yeah.
Here.
You would very easily.
You poor babe.
Like, a lot of the women are like in one of the films we'll talk about, there's like a line where the woman apologizes and she's like, I scream because I didn't expect you to be there, not because of how you look. Like, she's trying to like be like, no, you're fine. Like, you're beautiful. And he's just like, oh, I'm ugly.
I'm scary.
I need to leave.
I'm spooky scary.
I'm a spooky, scary man. And that's like his whole thing. But I think Bela, having been the sexy playman where all the women wrote him letters and he peaked as sexy Dracula, I think it kind of in a way got to his head, and he always felt like he deserved more, but he never, like, in my opinion, really fought for more. Like, even when you look at how much money he'd make versus how much money Karloff made, like, continuously, even if he was the headlined actor, like he was named first, he would make significantly less than Karloff. Like, he just never fought for himself. Even though, despite, like, thinking that he deserved more, and Karloff was even, like, was, like, quoted essentially as saying, like, Bela's an amazing actor. He's really talented. He did great work over there, and then he came here and he kind of just coasted, and he's not trying, he's not learning the language more, he's not putting himself out there, and it's really tragic. And then Bela took that as like fighting words.
Yeah.
Essentially,
and they were mad at each other for a while.
He was like, well, it's just because you put on makeup, like that's all you are, you're not an actor, you're just a mask.
Yeah.
That's mean. It's mean. Be friends.
You know what, honestly, it seems like he just had a really hard time being like vulnerable. That was his whole thing. Like, he couldn't really fight for himself or like be real, I guess.
Yeah.
Because he was just like, this is what you offer, that's what I take.
Yeah. And he was so desperate because he would not get enough, so he'd take whatever.
Yeah, and I think that period where he like couldn't find work for a while really messed with him, because that is also a time when like he just had his son in that time period. It was like the 30s, right before, you know, he started to kind of have a second go.
Yeah.
He had just had his son, and like he had to take care of him, and he had to like borrow money from like the actors associations or whatever,
the Actors Guild,
so that he could like afford to take care of his kids. So like there was
pride.
There's a lot more factors in there where like he didn't feel like he could ask for more because he like had such a long period of like not having anything going on, and he had his family he got to take
whatever
care
he
of.
can. Yeah. And I think it's, you know, this is a lesson to all men out there. It's okay to feel your feelings.
Yeah.
It's okay to be down on your luck sometimes and then get back up. You get knocked down, you get up again. They're never going to keep you down.
They're never going to keep you down.
Bela, get up. Do it. We love you.
But yeah, I definitely say he's more of the like toxic masculinity. I can't show that I just got to act like this is all the things and I'm cool. And then Karloff was definitely like, I make you feel all the things, so give me more money.
Yeah, and he was like, you know, art is art. He took whatever and he loved it and he did it and he worked hard in everything he did, and he didn't complain even when he really should have.
Yeah.
So these are two different like men, you know, these are just two sides of the spectrum, and so like exciting that they got to share the screen so often.
Yeah. And they were good together. Like, even if they didn't like each other, they were extremely entertaining as like you know, I guess what is, you said the word already. Co-stars, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and actually Karloff's daughter said there really isn't any truth to them not liking each other. Like, they had some quarrels, sure, but honestly, they were pretty decent friends. Like, not like friends. But
but I mean, if you're working with someone that
acquaintances.
closely, you have to at least be like, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
Ooh,
they
cool.
were civil. They worked well together on like set, and they weren't like best friends, like going out to dinner and stuff. But they still were cool with each other.
And there has to be that like mutual respect of like, we're the big guys in this.
Yeah, we're both
the two.
stuck being monsters.
Yeah,
like more or less. So that's still cool.
Monster Mash. Let's be friends.
It's the monster. I want to Monster Mash Bela Lugosi.
Films. Yeah, films. Yeah, films. We watched some films. Now let's talk about those films. And all that spooky stuff.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, welcome back. So as I had said previously, Kat and I watched a lot of stuff.
Woo!
We watched many a black and white film and trailer and clip revolving around these two lovely gentlemen. But what we're going to talk about is Dracula. I already kind of talked about Frankenstein, so we're not really like, and you know the story. And you now know the cool stuff about it. But we will talk about The Raven, which is one
It was just great.
supposedly inspired by Edgar Allan Poe, but then also features both of them acting together.
And it was honestly like, I'm not gonna lie, 95% of it, I was like, what's happening? What is this? But then also it was great. Like, it was extremely entertaining. I didn't even care that I didn't understand what was happening. I was just like, oh, look at them do their thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's this is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and like kind of like where it comes from, it's just like a few years later, and there's already like a significant, I think, difference in the way that it's telling. It's silly. It's not the best. Karloff actually did not like it. But specifically, let's talk about Dracula. So Dracula was created in 1931, or premiered in 1931, and this is like the first horror film when we could talk. It notoriously did not have any music on it because sound and like talking was so new, and it was like this thing that people had to get acclimated to, that they did not put music in there because it didn't make sense unless the music existed in the world, unless the music was happening in the action.
Yes.
Yeah, so there was no music. So later there's like music, and the music that's put on there is just from Swan Lake, I think. Or no, Nutcracker.
Yeah.
It's the Nutcracker. So it's like real weird. But if you don't know what Dracula is, it's based off of the book by Bram Stoker. It follows the ancient vampire Count Dracula as he arrives in England and begins to prey upon the virtuous young Mina. And it is directed by Todd Browning, who is a phenomenal director of the time, and worked to essentially revitalize the horror genre. And this is like before horror was like a name for it, but it was like, we're going to revitalize scary and monsters and creep you out. So
yeah, it was like, it's just like funny because it, as I was saying before, like it came out in the time where like they were like nah, but then they're like no, yes.
Yeah.
And then they really did it.
Yeah, well, because it the way they did it was so different. They took it very seriously. So the novel by Bram Stoker was actually technically already filmed without permission and was named Nosferatu in 1922 by expressionist filmmaker F.W. Murnau. Bram Stoker's widow had sued for plagiarism and copyright infringement, and the courts decided in her favor, so essentially ordering that all prints of Nosferatu be destroyed. You can still find them, though.
Yeah.
But this was like the real deal. Like, they got permission, they checked all the boxes, they chose this one to be the start. It's our starter horror film. And it just totally, like, people were like, wow, this could be a thing, because it didn't rely on just like gore. It didn't rely on a big monster.
There was a big story. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was this person, and he's attracted to Mina, and he needs her, and then it's like the discovery of the of him. In the my favorite scene is when he's talking to Mina, and then Dracula's talking to Mina, and Van Helsing is like kind of weirded out by Dracula and how intense he's been. Especially regarding Mina, and just like, I don't know, they're already like suspicious, and there's this whole thing where he's having the scene and he kind of looks over and there's a mirror, like a tiny mirror that's like showing, and you just see Mina, and like he's not there, and he does like a double take, and he's like, what? He's there? He's not there. He's there? And then another guy walks up to join the conversation, and he looks at the mirror, and there's a guy, blank, and then her, and he's just like, what? This is bizarre. And it's like
so bizarre.
It's just so funny to see it all coming together. But it's like, that must have been a whole moment, right? Where people were like, finally, and then it's like Van Helsing. It's I loved his little friend.
Yeah. His crazy friend.
Oh yeah, who loved him so much.
It was the whole time. He was so creepy and evil, and I loved him so much, and his eyes were nuts. And he was my favorite thing from the movie.
Yeah, I think his what is really cool about Dracula is their use of like putting light directly on his eyes to kind of show his like hypnotism. Mm-hmm. So that was like really cool. Renfield is who you're talking about.
Yes,
that cool friend. His like nerdy guy who just like falls under a spell, and he's like,
I need his eyes all wide all the time.
I need to do my master's bidding, and he loved him.
Like
he was
that
like
all the time.
mad.
It was creepy. It was great. I loved it so much. I was like,
so
oh my god.
great.
I don't know why I love this so much. I was like, marry me.
He was super cute. He was very handsome.
Was cute as anything. He was just also like the worst, but also the greatest.
Yeah, and
that's my husband.
He played that actor. Dwight Frye has played in monster movies as well.
You could definitely get that vibe that he would be like the henchman in a lot of things.
Yes, he's a lot of henchmen. He's played a Pinky, a Spivey, Pavlov's secretary, an arsonist.
Ooh, fun.
Just looking at his IMDb here, and it's a lot of just small man at rally. Jenkins. Mac. Yeah. So
I like that his name's Mac. He could be a Mac.
Yeah. Carl.
Chick.
Fritz. Jessup. Yeah, this seems real. Yeah, he tends to play these like weird people. He was really cool. He was a great contribution to this film. And Bela's just really wonderful.
Yeah, he's great in it.
He's really hypnotizing. He does the whole like the cape comes up and he like peeks over it, and then like one of my favorite scenes is like where she can't sleep and the window's open and the bat is just like hovering.
Yeah, that was funny.
Flapping its wings. It's so funny to watch now, but I can imagine then and being like,
wow,
how'd they get this bat there? What? Who is it? Is it Dracula?
Up. They're freaking out.
Yeah, that I would love to kind of see how that went. That seems wonderful. Yeah, he's super alluring. He's super charming and intense, as is his way in this film. It does a really good job of... I can see why it revitalized it.
It does really good job.
It does good job.
Good job does.
It does a good job of doing it.
Yeah.
It gets it done. He is the reason why it's so good. And
I agree.
Can see really why people were like, wow, you do this forever.
You can't do another thing. This is it.
Yeah, and I mean,
this is the best thing that you can do.
His accent is like, that's why we're like, we want to suck your blood. Like, that's him. He did it
entirely. He definitely just like defined what vampires would be for like the next 60 plus years.
Now everyone knows what you didn't, like, you guys have just been repeating that and you didn't even know who to give credit to.
It's him.
It's excellent. We also watched The Raven,
which I thoroughly enjoyed and thought both of them were fantastic in. And Gabe and I both had a moment halfway through where we're like, why does everyone not like Karloff though? In terms of like, he was like, I'm so ugly. And I was like, babe, nah.
He's got a beard and he's just like, I'm hideous. My whole life they've been calling me hideous. And it's like, are you? Who's been calling you?
I don't think you are.
Send them over to me because I'm going to set them straight because you're handsome. He was so pretty. Yeah. He was like ruggedly handsome. And then he had a beard too. It was just like, okay, then shave. Are you upset about
like, is that what it is? I don't get it.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you the plot from what you can find online. And then I'm going to tell you what it's really about. So it is about a brilliant surgeon who's obsessed with Edgar Allan Poe. And he saves the life of a beautiful dancer and goes mad when he can't have her, right? Which is
as men do, apparently.
Especially him. You can't deny him a lady. Are you kidding?
The current political climate's painful. Continue.
Yeah. So this is so it is about a surgeon who saves a young lady. So a young wife. She's gonna be a wife. Which is Bela. Bela is the surgeon. He is the lead role in this, which generally he wouldn't be. It would be flopped or flipped, usually when they played. So he is a surgeon, and he saves her life. They come beg him. For some reason, he's the only surgeon who can save this woman's life. And he does. He skillfully. And then the woman's hanging out with him and she like falls in love with him. And there's this scene where she compliments him because he's playing the piano and she's like, you're so talented. You're not only a skillful surgeon, but you're also a musician. You're like and he goes, a god. It's like, what?
That's not, you can do two things. You're a
just
god now.
Self-proclaim yourself. Like, you could just be like, I'm a god because I can play the piano and I saved your life. You owe it to me. And so she's like, clearly she's so significantly younger than him. He's old enough to be her grandfather. And she's like falling in love with him because he's like, he's this suave man that, once saved her life. She was super friendly.
When you hit a certain age, suave turns into creepy real quick.
Oh, 100%. And that's why she's very conflicted. Like, she's due to marry someone appropriately aged.
Yes.
And she's clearly, struggling with her attraction to this man who she should not. It is not right. And it's definitely, I think, kind of like synonymous with like when you go to a therapist and then you're like, now I'm attracted to this person because they know all my life and I'm like in love, like they understand me and they fix me. Like that whole thing that happens where they're like, people are worried that there'll be relations.
Like, I know I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I love you.
Exactly. So her father, the guy who was like, please save my daughter, he comes back and he's like, listen, she's got feelings for you and that needs to stop. Like, that's gross. It's unhealthy. So don't come around no more. Don't be her friend because you're, giving her the impression that she should keep doing it. And she's a professional dancer. She needs to focus on her life. And he's like, how dare you? I'm a god. He just throws a big man
proclaiming
fit.
I am a god.
He's just a big man fit. And then meanwhile, like, him being all angry, it like cuts to this man, but played by Karloff, who comes in and is like, I'm hideous. Please fix my face.
And we're like, no, babe, your face is fine.
And he was totally handsome. He wasn't even hideous. And then Bela was like, nah, I'm not a plastic surgeon unless, I'll fix your face if you do this favor for me. And Karloff's like, I was going to pay you money like a normal exchange because that's how money and like services work. That's how we do things. And he's like, I have the money. It's in my pocket because that I don't know. But I have it. And he's like, no, that's fine. I don't need your money. I just want you to do a favor. And he's like, I'm not going to be your indentured servant. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, okay. Then sure, I'll do it the normal way.
For money.
Definitely believe me. And then he goes under a knife and he comes out and he's even more hideous. He's actually literally hideous now. His face is all sunken. His eye is all messed up and doesn't work. And Bela's like, well, now you're ugly and the only one who can fix you is me. So now you still have to do that favor I asked you earlier. He's
so
like, dude.
rude.
And then the favor is like, he essentially creates this elaborate house of horrors where he has like in his basement, he has a swinging pendulum, like the pit and the pendulum, and like this like crazy house where one of the rooms becomes an elevator. And then there's like the scene where the guy like goes to open the door after the room has been elevated down to,
and it's like, oh yeah, that's not there no more.
He flies out and he's like dangling from the doorknob, which is reportedly got laughs from the audience. Like the audience was like, that's kooky. That's a kooky situation. Great. And then
you have so much fun here.
The last like parts of the movie is just like all these levers and he's just like, babe,
I'm messing up your day now.
He's like,
now
babe,
your day.
Turn off the telephones. This is one lever. And then he's like, turn down all the shutters so they're locked in. This is another lever. I know what words are. And then they eventually end up in the basement anyway. And they're like fighting him, and he puts him in their magical room where the walls close in on him. And then Bay gets his whole new idea, and he's like, actually, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
He's like, actually, I'm going to change this. And he undoes the lever and releases them, and then he gets shot, and it's a whole epic battle. It was amazing. Mm-hmm. It was really silly. And even Karloff was like, this was a a half-assed idea. This was a not thought out idea with a lot of like cool little situations happening, but there was no logic to any of it. He was like, this
I thought
is
it was
stupid.
great. I thought it was great.
He thought it was so dumb. Yeah. And in this film, there's like a part where Karloff does like a grunt, and it's essentially the Frankenstein grunt.
Yeah.
Or the Frankenstein's monster grunt.
Hmm.
So you get a little peek at that, and you're like, remember, that's probably why we're watching this terrible film. Like back in the day, that's what people thought.
No, I liked the film. I thought it was great. It was super funny. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Everyone watch it now.
Yeah. And this is the one where even though Lugosi is the headliner, he made $5,000, whereas Karloff made $10,000 for this.
Gotta speak
for
up for
15
yourself,
days of
man.
shooting. 15. That's all they did. This is a good one.
I mean, he was also great in the film. I mean, I'm just saying, it was a great movie.
I really enjoy it. I mean, especially because like coming from it as like we're already at this weird stage where everything looks kind of funky.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all kind of going to be on the same par. Like they're all outlandish to us. So I can see as like at the time people were like, this is really weird. But now I'm like, this is totally up my alley. I love it. I want it.
I'm just like, all of this is great.
Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So watch that. We tried to watch Black Cat. We couldn't find it. So if anyone has access to that, give it to us.
Because we want to watch it.
We do. And the thing is like, it's called The Raven, but he just like kind of quotes the Raven at the beginning. And then he says that the Raven is his like talisman or something. And the guy's like, you're a doctor. Why do you want a raven which symbolizes death? And he's just like, don't ask me about it. Oh my God. Do you see my beautiful piercing eyes? I'm a handsome man. Don't question me. Send me your daughters.
Oh, no.
It's all Lugosi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Feelings. Yeah, feelings. Yeah, I said feelings. Let's talk about feelings. Okay. And all that spooky stuff. I love spooky stuff.
It'll be suave, handsome vampire.
Yes.
Or if you like it.
Yeah.
It's essentially Bela Lugosi, Dracula.
Mm-hmm.
Versus ink sparkle glitter vampire.
Okay.
If you don't like it.
Okay.
So let's talk about the gentlemen themselves.
Sexpire.
Sexpire. Yeah.
Sexy, suave.
Baby, will you light my Sexpire?
You could suck my blood. What's up?
Ew, gross.
It is gross.
That's gross.
All I'm saying is,
You can bring this body back to life.
I'll be undead for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
We're just making a
drive
Valentine's for you real early.
You drive me batty.
Shut up.
That's one. Yeah, I enjoy them. I think Karloff was a better actor, but I still enjoy both of them.
I agree. It was a positive time. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's cute. Everyone's scary, but also cool. They're doing their stuff and their things.
Yeah, I think it's fun to watch what was entertaining then.
Mm-hmm.
And to see like these things on screen, like to see Frankenstein after like talking so much about it, and then seeing Dracula. Not that I've read Bram Stoker's, but I'm sure it's great. We didn't do him. We did H.P. Lovecraft instead.
Yeah.
Which was my choice. I don't know anything about Stoker.
Other than the things that we now know.
Yes. So, but I knew about Lovecraft, so I chose him. So, but came for a full circle because they did a film.
Yeah,
It was
great.
kind of like it. So it's coming together because this is the last episode of our classic horror series.
So sorry to see you go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a surprise because you're like, what? There's still like a week left of October, guys. What are you doing? You said all October. Well, too bad. You'll find out later.
You don't get to see my really over-exaggerated creepy smile, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, she's
It's
very
there.
happy.
You don't know.
So yours is
Secrets.
Sexpire too.
Yeah.
Cool. And how do you feel about the film Dracula and the film The Black? No, what did we watch? The Raven.
I love The Raven. I thought that was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was so absurd.
And I love Dracula too. Like they were great. Like not because I thought they were scary, but because it was a lot of absurd stuff happening, and that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I was just like, what?
What?
But like in the best way. And it was just like, oh my gosh,
Loved it.
this is fantastic.
10 points to them. It was, yeah, I agree. I think Dracula was good. I think you could really see why it's so important. And I just thoroughly enjoy watching them on screen.
Yeah.
I like even with Bela being essentially Dracula all the time. Like I want to see Dracula all the time. I
Yeah,
want to
he's
see
just like a
Bela
really entertaining actor.
be attractive and lure people. Like I'm here, I'm lured. You got me. Where are we going?
I watched this
My
movie
bags are
again.
packed. I don't know where you are a god. I don't know what are the initiation words. How do I get here?
Dance naked in the forest. Done.
Done. Here I am. Sold. Thank you, Black
Signed, sealed,
Phillip.
delivered.
Yeah.
I'm yours.
And then with Karloff, it's like, oh, you sweet baby angel.
You're beautiful. Don't you say that. Don't you let them tell you you're not beautiful.
'Cause we're beautiful, no matter what they say. Yep.
Yeah.
That's my song to him.
You touch
beard,
his face.
no beard, weird.
Beards can
Bring you down.
Oh no. Don't you bring them down today. I don't know if that's what the
Yeah,
words were.
I think so.
Probably. It's close. I was close.
So, Karloff, we love you. You're handsome too.
Yeah.
In like a really endearing, charming, cute way. Honestly, if we were gonna end up home with anyone, I would definitely have ended up home with Karloff.
That's fair.
Like they're objectifying women in all these films, so we're allowed to objectify them.
Mm-hmm.
I think is the rules
Maybe? I don't know.
because it's the 1930s.
Yeah.
Rules are gone. So
This is real time travel.
So
I'm dead.
yeah, we got one more week of being time traveled, of us being in the past, and
Yeah,
then we
it's been
come
rough.
back to the present, and yeah, we have a whole nother round of a series for the month of November for my birthday month.
But it's a surprise.
Yeah, you'll learn more when it happens. But we love you guys and hope you enjoyed these two folks, these monsters.
Yeah. And we love you.
We did the monster mash.
We love you.
It was a monster mash.
We love you.
Okay. Well,
I said we love you, creepy.
And remember,
a bunch.
guys.
That means it's real.
I am a god.
Don't get married to eat your kids.
Okay, bye.
Bye.